people that got the airdrop is like, oh yeah, like, I mean, cool. And then ETH maxis are like, grift.
The truth is somewhere in the middle. I don't think he's grifting. I think he believes everything he's saying. Some of it sounds insane to me. Like he's not going to give out any money until he 10x's the users and like, takes over the world. And
does it sort of signal where things are going to be at in another 6 months? Because this wouldn't have happened even 6 months ago. It definitely wouldn't have happened a year ago. But this is, really a staggering amount of capital. And I just feel like it's showing that there's a lot of like pent up capital in crypto that's looking to sort of deploy in more speculative things.
Welcome everybody, episode 28.
Showtime!
I'm so jacked to the tits, I'm going to skip the intros. You guys know who we are. Been here for half a year plus now. Man, this week had a bit of excitement. This is like this is very different vibes than when we started the podcast right now. I feel like there's just $700 million airdrop and then like fudding it. Yeah, so we're recording a little bit after the Jupiter Day, call it. Vicky, did you participate in Jupiter Day?
Yeah, I got a pretty generous airdrop. I haven't been trading it too much, but it's been really interesting to observe. I studied the launch details quite closely, so we can dive into that if you want.
How many airdrops did you get? Did you just have one wallet? Do you have like a bunch of them? Was it just coincidentally you got one, or were you like farming it? Like what happened?
I didn't farm it, but I should have. I had like some wallets I just randomly swapped on, just part of normal behavior, and I got probably like, I don't know, 20, 25 grand worth of JUP. Very generous with airdrop.
Taiki,
Airdrops are insane.
you got some too?
No, I actually, I might have gotten in one wallet. I haven't checked yet. But best case scenario is just one wallet. So I haven't been farming the Solana ecosystem that aggressively. I'm starting to though. I'm doing Drift. I'll probably farm Jupiter more for season 2. And I'll also look into like Parcel and Tensor. I think those are potentially really good.
Yeah, I don't think I have it, but I have to check. I'll check after the show. But did Saga phone holders by chance get a nice generous airdrop as early ecosystem supporters or no?
I hope Mad Lads got some. I got a Mad Lads, but maybe I missed the snapshots. I don't know what these snapshots. My understanding is like there's going to be more airdrops, right? Like this is like one of 4. So I do think this is a trend. I mean, from the stuff that I've been designing on Mantle's side, it is also like sequential airdrop. You don't want to just kind of blow it once and you're done. You want to be able to reload. But Vicky, tell us a little bit about the specific Jupiter one and how you saw the mechanics of it.
Yeah, I think it's a bit unfortunate because like I think when teams try to be more transparent, a lot of times they end up getting punished for that. So what Jup did that was different than most launches, like most launches will typically like use a market maker and they'll give them some supply of tokens, and then there'll be like an option where like if the token settles above a certain price, then the market maker basically can like pocket a spread and make some money that way. Jup did it so that like they skipped the market maker and instead they allocated around 2.5% of their tokens into a single-sided liquidity pool. So it's from 0.4 to 0.7. They were selling 250 million Jup tokens. And after 7 days, like after the price settled, basically the team would get the proceeds of that sale. So it's kind of like an ICO sale, kind of like skipping the market maker, that sort of thing, in order to provide liquidity on a launch.
Yeah, so this is not like a liquidity pool in the sense of what we're traditionally used to, where other people can join in and provide liquidity. Like nobody can provide liquidity. It's a bonding curve. I think it's a little bit similar. I was getting flashbacks, and the people who have been following me for a few years might remember when Sam Trabuco beat me to the $25 million auction for, it was a single block of Stargate token.
You were trying to win that? I had no idea.
We had a whole crew together. We had I can't say some of the famous traders kind of bunching up trying to do this, and we had a little glitch at the end. We couldn't get the order in. Anyway, I had a similar deja vu yesterday because I saw this like bonding curve thing, and I've seen this shit before. Like I know at some point it's gonna eat it up, and I was willing to bid, at least halfway through, 5.5 cents or something. I was happy to do it, and I did do it. I mean, I put the orders in, But yeah, I think Selene needs to get some Solana MEV guy, because the limit orders just didn't even fill. Like it was like as if they didn't exist. Stuff was happening. There was the prices were going through, but unfortunately, no fills. And it turns out that us plebs using like the public RPC nodes and like using the normal wallets and not using the private stuff had no shot. So I think it was a very mixed review. Some people think it went really well, like the chain didn't go down, and then a lot of other people just couldn't get transaction through for quite a long time, and couldn't claim, couldn't sell, couldn't buy, couldn't send tokens. I'm curious, Taiki, if you even tried to use Solana during this period.
Yeah, so I mean, actually, yesterday I was trying to mint an NFT on Metaplex, and I couldn't mint it for whatever reason. Probably because Jupiter. I thought there's like some paralyzed stuff going on where if the DeFi side is congested, the NFT side won't be congested. But maybe, I mean, I'm not 100% sure, to be honest. But I was trying to mint some NFTs. I shouldn't do it.
We have the biggest airdrop in history, and Taiki's there like trying to mint some like random NFT. It's like the house on fire. It's just like, oh.
We have a meme for that. I think we're saving it for the end, though, right?
Yeah, actually, I can share my my mid-crib NFT later, but it was like just for fun. Wait, Tiki, I'm kind of curious. So my understanding of the token launch was it's similar to the team essentially providing single-sided like liquidity for like V3, right? Like between 0.4 and 0.7, and anyone can like just slam USDC in to get tokens, right? So was that kind of the mechanism? I know it's called like the DLMM or something, but to be honest, I'm kind of mid-cribbing this.
Yeah, that's exactly it. But like, most of these projects, they'll give market makers like a token, and they'll market make both like two sides, and it's just the same thing. It's like they don't have cash, so they just provide their token. It's just single sided, and just provides it some sort of range that they set. But like, the thing is, like once the price goes to like 0.6, for example, then like the USDC proceeds of selling the token is offered as two-sided liquidity for people that want to sell into it. So basically, like the way you think about it is at 0.4, it's all token, and at 0.7, it's all cash. And whatever it settles at the end of the 7 days is like what the team gets to recoup, essentially.
I have some breaking news. I don't know if we have a banner to flash, but I just checked my wallet as we were chatting. I checked one of a few wallets in Solana, and I qualified for the airdrop, which is great news.
Nice. How much?
Just in got some liquidity.
What tier are you?
I don't know about tiers, but it's 1,200 tokens. I'm not sure how much that equates to, but
it's like $100.
Well, I guess I'll have a nice dinner too.
This is first world problems that's considered a pretty plebby airdrop right there.
Well, when I heard what Thicky was getting, I mean,
yeah, I mean, we have seen a lot of conversations on Twitter. First of all, to Thicky's point, I know a lot of our audience is in the space and they like hearing about market makers. So to be specific, like there were market maker loans out in order to deal with centralized exchanges. The centralized exchanges were a bit of a shit show. KuCoin decided to launch early. There's like this trend now, like the exchanges try to beat each other because they don't want to launch at the same time. They want to get like the volume first. So KuCoin launched first. The price was literally trading above 20 billion for quite some minutes. I went like 10, 15, 20. Whoever had tokens, and a little birdie told me our friend Andre was part of that, who got allocation to that loan. Could maybe do something there. So there was still some of that. There was a lot of FUD around, Solana noobs. I mean, I'll be honest, I haven't gone too much on chain in Solana. I bought my Mad Lads, done a few things, checked out. It was hard to get transactions through. I didn't, I'm not as familiar with how to navigate the different wallets, especially when you're dealing with, institutional grade wallets that are, not as simple as just clicking around the Phantom with RPCs. But, it was a little bit tough to operate yesterday, that's for sure. And the Twitter Ethereum crew has come out with the pitchforks. Maybe we can put some of the tweets out.
Yeah, I think Hasu had a really aggressive take on the situation because, I guess it's essentially, Meow, the founder of Jupiter, said that this is basically an open market sale of the token. So to my understanding, Jupiter doesn't have VCs, so they just raising from the community. And Hasu, right? Part of ETH aligned for sure, calling it a grift. Evan also. I mean, Evan, I think he's like a Solana bull to some extent, but I think he's publicly criticizing the way that all this happened. What do you guys think about this tweet from Hasu?
Yeah, so I mean, the founder of Jupiter has definitely been a little bit populist and fuck the VCs, we're the people, and then he kind of just basically creates a mechanism where he's gonna rug a few $100 million out of the ecosystem, and I don't expect him to just sort of like take it off chain or something. I'm pretty confident that he's gonna do something with it. The result is a little bit interesting. Yeah, I'm curious what Zach XBT and those guys would think. I mean, normally when they see an NFT mint and somebody tries to mint like more than $20 million, they go crazy. Like, why, you're grifting, trying to raise 40 million. Doesn't make sense. Like, nobody needs 40 million. This is a huge raise. I think Meow has said that, if he just tried to OTC with funds, he would have gotten a similar valuation and a similar amount.
There's no way.
You don't think so?
6 million? No way.
Hard to say. The revenue numbers look pretty good, actually, from what I've seen. I don't know how much of it is related to the airdrop activity, but
don't you guys think it's interesting that in our industry we try to it just seems to me that the project's responsibility is to basically raise as much capital as they can to keep building for as long as possible and deliver the best product. But in our industry, we also sort of hold the project accountable to sort of temper how they launch a token, how they raise capital, etc., because our space is so inefficient that there's no grounding in reality. It's very weird, right? For the project, clearly this is the best thing for them to do, right?
Well, I was going to say the main point of contention, I think, typically these the tokens or liquidity are provided from the foundation. So whatever they raise is kept in the foundation. It is kind of unprecedented to have team tokens get unlocked day one, where there is no sort of responsibility. It's they don't necessarily have to put it back in the project or grow the ecosystem that they could if they wanted to just cash it out. I think that's the main point of a weirdness about this law. So if it were from the foundation, it would be completely normal.
And to follow up on that, Jordy, you said this rugged $100 or $200 million from the ecosystem. I wouldn't think of it that way. Everyone thinks that Jupiter is the best app on Solana. It's basically the front end of Solana. And I've been talking to a few Solana maxis or the Solana bulls, and they think that it's reasonable for Jupiter to flip Uni, even circulating market cap wise, just because they have ways to monetize. Their platform is basically 1 inch plus GMX plus a launch pad. And there's things that you can only do on Solana. So that can also just create new use cases and actually just grow the TAM, which I thought was pretty interesting. I'm starting to try to be more open-minded about the Solana ecosystem and not try to compare it to L2s, for example, because they're very different.
Yeah, I agree. I also tried to, I bridged a bunch of money. Like I said, I was trying to buy a ton of Jupe at, in the fives. I thought it was going to be a great trade. I moved 8 figures in. I was gonna just buy as much as possible. I was definitely reminded of the Stargate thing. So I tried to go all in. Didn't really manage to get any, and then I just started playing with the other stuff. I put a bunch of money in Camino and MarginFi. I think the yields were pretty high because people were borrowing, trying to do all the activity. Yeah, it's a little bit of a different feel, different ecosystem. They do things a little bit differently. It's interesting. I'll definitely be checking into my my deposits there and see how it's going.
It kind of reminds me of Binance Smart Chain in Q1 of 2021, where people were just fed up with Ethereum gas fees and I guess the lack of speed. And as soon as retail came back to the crypto markets, they were screw ETH, doesn't really, it's not really usable. Let's just go on a cheaper chain where I can speculate and potentially, turn $100 into $100K. As people have done with the Jupiter Airdrop. So I feel airdrop farming and all these new token launches is kind of a Trojan horse for crypto adoption in the sense that people are actually downloading wallets, bridging money on chain, trying crypto for the first time. And whether they stick around or not, I have no idea. But I think, it's a good thing. I think airdrop farming is like a net positive to the space.
Taiki, I remember when that happened with BSC sort of stealing a lot of DeFi Summer's thunder from Ethereum. At the time, I was so ideologically aligned with Ethereum, much more so than I am now, because when you're working with engineers and you're sort of like trying to build in this space, there is this like holier than thou Ethereum sort of circle, right? Like most of the influencers on Twitter, most of the engineers, most of the, quote unquote, like smarter folks seem to be Ethereum aligned. And I was just very caught up in that and was discounting other ecosystems. And because of that, I sort of missed out on the alt L1 season that sort of happened in late 2021 and 2022. But I'm determined not to miss that this time if that's how it plays out again.
There are a couple things I want to touch upon before we move on to another topic. So, I mean, a lot of the FUD, and the one that I kind of say I probably agree on the most, I disliked the optics of, they charged themselves to launch their own token on their own launch pad, and they paid themselves a huge fee. I don't know, it was like 50 million, 60 million, as like a fee for like, yeah, which ended up being like massive. It reminds me of, like when WeWork, Adam Newman like sold the word weed to like his own company for like $6 million or something. It's just such a bad idea to do that.
I guess like the Meow's excuse is that, okay, like, this is, we're launching this token on our launch pad, and if other Solana projects want to drop a token, they can use our launch pad and we can learn from our mistakes or whatever. So, like I think sentiment, I feel like there's like a dichotomy of thoughts. It's like people that got the airdrop is like, oh yeah, like, I mean, like cool. And then ETH maxis are like, grift. But, I think that's too extreme on both sides.
I agree with you, actually. I think the truth is somewhere in the middle. I don't think he's grifting. I think he believes everything he's saying. Some of it sounds insane to me. Like he's not going to give out any money until he 10x's the users and like, takes over the world. And sometimes you forget how niche, DEXs and all this stuff really is. And I understand we're building new financial systems, but I don't know, one step at a time. I'm a little bit more grounded.
Do you guys think that this happening this week and the crazy amount of capital involved, whether you think it's right or wrong is sort of a different question, but does it sort of signal where things are going to be at in another 6 months? Because this wouldn't have happened even 6 months ago. It definitely wouldn't have happened a year ago, but this is, really a staggering amount of capital. And I just feel like it's showing that there's a lot of like pent up capital in crypto that's looking to sort of deploy in more speculative things.
And this also creates like a wealth effect for the Solana users, right? Because if ETH people want exposure to Sol and they buy Jupiter, then it's a transfer of wealth from ETH max or ETH aligned holders to, I guess, like the Solana degens, and that only makes the community stronger. So I think Solana is going to do really well this cycle. I'm still trying to figure out how to allocate, but I'm like just farming right now.
Yeah, I mean, one last thing on this topic, the one that you just mentioned about the wealth effect, it's something that I'm still noodling with. I've talked about it on a few of the most recent podcasts where I'm not quite sure, like, is this just like leveraging or is it actual wealth being created? Because ultimately there's a fixed amount of money, in the stable coins and in the ecosystem. This huge event comes out and we say, okay, this thing is valuable. It's really valuable compared to all this other stuff. So we need to just, give everybody, hundreds of millions of dollars. That money is not really coming from like TradFi or, like somewhere else. So it's just sort of has to rotate from somewhere. And the only way to rotate without dropping other bags is to like increase leverage somewhere in the system. Somewhere, somehow in the system, the same amount of dollars is creating higher valuations and a higher market cap overall for everything. So that's a little bit dangerous. I mean, we did see a little bit of a sell-off, afterwards. And I don't know if it's related to sort of getting over skis a bit.
I think it was. Like, especially the most recent new launches got sold off pretty hard into the JUP launch. It's like Manta, Alt, and Mondo all got sold off pretty hard into the JUP launch. Like, I think it's quite interesting to guess where that rotational capital came from.
Thicky, do you still believe that everything over the next 6 months, alts just, well, I think you said go to zero. Obviously, you were being, hyperbolic, but do you think everything just sort of bleeds over the next 6 months after this, post CTF hype? Are you still of that mindset or no longer?
I think it kind of has to. Like, if you look at, the most 5 recent big name launches, And that's around $18 billion of FTV to the entire space. And the entire altcoin market cap's at like 300. So it's like 6% of the market cap needs to like find cash buyers to buy. So I think what we see is like, I think new coins will continue to do very well and launch at like very rich valuations because there's still a lot of attention in the space. There's still a lot of capital free around, but like it comes at the expense of these older coins that are possibly unlocking investing. And like those coins are going to probably go to zero. Like, those ones with like not great narratives, just unlocking VCs, like, yeah.
Like the thing we talked about last time with like new coin good. I've had a lot of like friend kind of, serious traders message me after, and they're like, why are you like spilling the alpha like that? You're like ruining the metagame now. And then they're actually right. Like today, I just like log onto Twitter and I see some of the threaders like talking about like new coin good and describing why new coin good. So it's gone out there. I think like one of the reasons why new coin good, I was thinking about this today, is like when there's a new coin, there's a lot of price discovery to happen. And there's like a very wide range of opinions because somebody might think like, like Zeta Chain launched today. And it's like, oh, is this sort of like chain flip? And then it's like, 600 million value. Or no, this is like Rune. So this should be like, a few billion. Like, no, this is like layer 0. There should be many billion. So there's this like this, it's like an interesting new game. Because if you're just trading, Ethereum all day, like, okay, maybe it's 22, 2300. But you get these like interesting spots where it's like a game trying to figure out like where does this end up in the stack, and that gets the attention, I think.
Yeah, and also one thing I was thinking about is all the new coins, they're kind of in like new categories, right? Like EigenLayer might launch at like $20 billion valuation. AltLayer is introducing restaked rollups. Investing in like new category leaders with no, like, I guess comps, like Manta, at least like, can Manta get above Arbitrum? Probably not, right? But can EigenLayer get to like 100 billion? Who knows? Maybe, right? So, like no one really knows how to value these things. So, it's all about narrative speculation. And there's like no upper bound for the val. So I think that's why it's also like things can get crazy. And I think I'm trying to get out the mid curve and trying to think more left curve and okay, maybe not right curve, but left curve, sure.
Heike, show us the epic epic meme of Heike.
Oh, also, we talked about me minting the NFT on Solana yesterday. Justin, can you pull up my screen? I literally minted this on Solana just to experiment with like the tech, because I think Metaplex is kind of cool, like this Solana and compressed NFTs, and I'm like, okay, like how much does it cost to mint this thing? It cost me like 0.01 SOL or something. I'm like, all right, yeah, that's good.
Is that for sale? Can we buy that?
It's a 101 owned by me. I'm not going to sell this. I mean, just experimentation, I'm just experimenting.
The left curve one is my favorite. It's just, he's so ecstatic. He's just simple happiness.
Yeah.
It's like Georgian of Mice and Men. It's just like this pure low IQ joy.
If only we were all there, that would be nice. I'm trying to get there too, Taiki.
Yeah, and if you noticed, there's like some saliva in the left curve, Taiki.
Doesn't drool.
Yeah, I'm drooling. And the mid curve Taiki is just always pissed. And then right curve, like I'll never, be at this level. He's even wearing some chains here. So lots of swagger in this one.
On that note, I wanted to pull this up.
I said it's George of a Mice and Men, but it's actually Lenny. Lenny's the one that likes the rabbits. Okay, sorry.
Clarification, important. No, Taiki, I've been loving this meme here where I feel like we're jumping ahead to, pasta of the week, but I've got something different. But I love this meme that shows like crypto Twitter is actually at the very far left. But, in our little circle, we have segments of the population that think they're very much on the right or left. But really, we're all sort of like far left. And it's just translated over. I think it's a good time.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So let's move on. Some of the other topics, maybe not as fresh as this, but what's the latest with ETF flows, Sticky?
Yeah, I think the big narrative this week was, and like last Friday, it was like Grayscale slowing down. we've seen like the outflows there slow down from like 500-600 million a day down to like 100-200. It's very good because it appears like people that were long grayscale speculatively and were unhedged are like selling slowing down. And I guess it's being offset by the 9 ETFs volumes decreasing and those inflows slowing down too. We're still seeing like, BlackRock and Fidelity do like $100-200 million a day of inflows, and Grayscale at like minus 200. So the number we really care about is like what the steady state number is, where we settle at. And, the bar is quite low. Like if we can settle at $20 million a day of consistent inflows, that like completely offsets, half the miner supply currently, and once the halving's over, it offsets all of it. And at that point, like Bitcoin doesn't become some, constantly like bleeding down asset. It actually might grind up like equities do.
Dare we say, does it become ultrasound money, Vicky?
Well, I could say that, yeah. Well, I could say that.
It didn't matter for ETH. I mean, maybe it did. We'll never know what would have happened if the proof of stake didn't happen. But like seemingly, at least with ETH BTC, it's just been down only mode since the merge. Like, do you, these flows are that important, or is something else going on?
Well, it's around the same price. It matters for the narrative. Like, I think sentiment does matter most of all, because like, there's like 10, 15, $20 billion of crypto native hedge fund capital, and there's like even more TradFi money that goes in and out. And those things, like, if the real flow is only $20-30 million a day, like those sentiments can really just like cause a lot more variability in price than like $20 million a day. But when you look at things over the course of 1, 2, 3, 4 years, like those flows actually start adding up. Like $20 million a day over a year, for TradFi business days, like $5 billion a year. Like that, if it hit that consistently, like that really does change the trajectory of the price.
Yeah, and like demand matters too, right? Because people do stock the flow, and they're like, okay, like supply low, so price up. But to touch on ETH-BTC, yeah, like the supply dynamics improved, but maybe there's just like not that much demand to buy ETH above 250 billion, market cap, as long as it doesn't really scale. And Bitcoin is now ultrasound money.
I still remain bullish on ETH BTC. I think the Celsius washout was a bit annoying to digest, quite large amounts. I think they're like distributing now. I think whatever stuff they have left, as I understand it. I think FTX also had an announcement that seemed quite bullish. They are also going to be returning a lot of money back, it looks like. No surprise there to people who've been following it recently. And also, I think we had some positive headlines about Ethereum ETF. And I think as like people kind of get over the grayscale selling and they realize that ETF is probably good in the end, that will help the ETH narrative as well.
So are you still thinking because you were saying 0.08, 0.09, even possibly new highs on the ratio, or 0.11 or something like that. You haven't changed on that at all? Because I know, we had a huge, positive reaction after the ETF happened, and then we've sort of like, retraced most of that, but your thesis hasn't changed at all?
No, it hasn't changed. I think the Celsius selling delayed things. Ultimately, it's all about a flywheel, and it just sort of like goes and doesn't stop. People have to kind of rotate. But I think it delayed things, to a certain extent. We still looking at May 23rd is what they're saying for the ETF period. We'll need to get closer to it, maybe where it's within view and the hype builds. We still have the Bitcoin halving before that. I think it's in April, mid-April, I think is the date that I saw. But, I own both assets, still a bit more skewed on ETH, maybe because I'm really excited about MES. I'm holding there. As this episode is coming out, I think we will have just announced that we are raising the cap one more time from 3333 to 420.69. So one last chance for people to get in before the real fun begins.
Jordy, I was going to ask you, because the return is so much higher than normal staking yield, does the METH actually trade at a premium on secondary?
Yeah, it does, and it should.
Yeah.
Not like a huge thing. It's not like UST, where I remember when Luna had to kind of like cap the supply at, I think, 10 million a day. there were times where I had to buy Terra like 1% high, like quite a bit higher. So that did depeg, and we have a little bit of that on secondary. Yeah.
So arbitrageurs are going to fill that quickly, you'd assume then, right?
With these staking, minting things, sometimes because there's like a withdrawal a few days here and there, it's not a smooth operation to do. I don't think it's juicy enough for a ton of like arbitrage to happen at this stage, but maybe we'll get. I mean, it's obviously going to become $1 billion asset very soon as we open this up. I've seen that there's, Stargate has announced they're going to be shooting meth into other L2s and into the stratosphere, so we can get the aliens addicted on meth as well.
Like, on a related note, or maybe not too related, but like, what do you guys think about EigenLayer? Like, actually, because I feel like the ETH narrative, right, it's not as good of money as Bitcoin, and it's less performant than other high throughput chains, so it's kind of stuck in this middle. And EigenLayer potentially, aside from the ETF, is like the only narrative that can propel ETH potentially higher. I mean, I dropped off, like, I dropped a $20 billion figure earlier, but if Celestia is at 17 billion, why can't Eigen, be at 20? What do you guys think about like EigenLayer? How are you going to trade the launch, if any? And do you have any quote unquote, valuation targets potentially?
I am more bullish EigenLayer than Celestia for many reasons. I think it's a clear like long one, short the other at some point if you kind of get that ratio going. The TradFi people that are kind of in crypto, they seem really excited about it. So that, first of all, that's a good sign. You want like, potentially like new money that loves like this narrative and understands that potentially, it aligns with something that they see about the real world and how it can play out. So that's good. When it comes to, just the data availability, I think EigenLayer has that when it comes to the ecosystem that they've built and like potential airdrops and things like that. I think it's very strong. The tech is clearly, Gigabrain, great founder. Spoken with him, just seems exactly like the kind of guy like, that you want. So I do think that will likely be one of the most bullish things to hit Ethereum in a very long time.
Do you know when it's going to launch, Justin? I know you're more in touch with it than I am.
I've heard Q2 or Q3 is a good bet, but I don't have any inside info there. I have a ton of EigenLayer points. I was in one of the first tranches that opened up and have just sort of left my ETH in there. I wish I put more, and obviously now in retrospect, when I made that original spreadsheet, I think my FDV target was 4 billion, and it was a massive airdrop. And now, to your point, Taiki, with the Celestia comparison and like it being even more bullish than that, I wish I had sort of gone all in there, but it is what it is.
I wish I listened to Justin when you pointed out. I remember thinking, like, I heard 4 billion. I was like, there's no way. This guy's a mood boy. Like, but now it's probably going to be much, much more than that. I wish I just followed you in. Yeah, I'm super bullish EigenLayer as well. I think a lot of like CT money is very short-sighted and can't be patient enough, just like long ETH for 2 months for an inevitable pump. They all think they can time it, but I think it will be a really bullish narrative for ETH. I'm trying to find tokens to like altcoins to like play it, but like there's nothing cleaner than just ETH itself.
I think some of the restaking tokens potentially, I guess they don't really exist yet, but like things like EtherFi, maybe some of the Stater stuff. I need to look into it more.
Restake the rollups. Gotta get waiting for my airdrop still.
Just to touch on that, last week I shared the chart of like, the best day to sell your airdrop is 5 days in, and that actually played out perfectly with alts, but Taiki told me not to listen to it, so I didn't, and now I'm just holding on to my airdrop. Taiki was like, you shouldn't listen to that.
Whatever you
it's
want,
just an average. Sell when it makes you comfortable. I didn't.
The best time to sell it is right before another token launches.
Oh, right. That makes sense.
I think that was a bit too much alpha, Thicky. You shouldn't have shared that one. That's been in my head. We're not supposed to say that one out loud. No, it's true. It's like, what's the kind of like casino of the week, and then like when there's a new casino of the week, you got I shouldn't have said that either. We're sharing too much today. It's okay.
We get Brad to edit it out.
But thank you. I have to say, like, everything you're saying sounds so much more sophisticated now. You don't have like the kimono Thicky today. You guys have like the spectacled, nice hair, buttoned down Thicky, not the sunburnt, went to the beach and
Tank top.
For the audience, we're trying to boost Thicky's ratings, so we put glasses on him. We fixed his shirt up because after last week, he got quite a bit of a hate, and the week before that for just being so bearish on the ecosystem over the next 6 months. So we got to boost his ratings.
I didn't even know I did.
It's in the comments section.
Oh shit! I gotta read those comments.
Well, let's move maybe to pasta of the week, and I think we have some juicy ones this week. Maybe for once I'll kick off. So I saw Bold Leonidas. This guy, if you're not following him, he's just like such a cartoonist for the space. Just great for the culture. He always like has these inside jokes and just like really good imagery as well. So yeah, he's kind of reflecting upon all the controversy around Jupiter, and he has a character here asking, "So how much Jupe did the team keep?" And the cat says, "Yes." So yeah, we're not going to get any clear answers, just sure, yes. I think this was a brilliant cartoon, and congratulations to Bold Leonidas for getting, I think he got 3rd or 4th place in the meth meme contest as well. So he won a few $1,000s there.
Wow.
Let's look at Thickies.
I think this just kind of touches on what Jordy was saying earlier. Like, hard times create airdrops, create good times, good times create Ponzi's, and Ponzi's create hard times. Like, all this wealth effect lends, it lets people get greedy. They like leverage up, and then that's when the hard times come again. But like right now, we are enjoying like the sort of fruits of our labor in the tough bear market.
I have to say that like this is something that the people trying to at least hit the right curve should reflect upon. There's definitely a signal in here. Some of the smartest and like most successful investors, though, they don't even consider any of this at all. I've seen interviews with Ansem, with Santiago. These guys are like the most prolific people on podcasts, and like, obviously very successful, very intelligent guys. Whenever they get asked a question, I remember like Taiki, you asked Ansem, and I've seen other people ask Santiago, why do you think this thing is worth 5 billion instead of 10 billion or whatever? And it's always relative value. They're like, well, it's almost as good as this thing, and if that's 8, then this should be like 6. And it's never like fundamental or any first principles or any tethering anywhere. No tethering. It's just a purely, well, if that's, if Jupiter is like 1 inch, but it's more like this, then just put it there, and then we just add this stuff on. And that's okay, and it does well. I mean, people can perform extremely well in the markets, and they do. These guys are like performing extremely well. I just wonder like at which points some of those assumptions start to break.
Does it work on the downside, Jordy?
On the downside, in what sense?
Well, we've always been talking about in the bullish case. So it's like if TIA is worth 16, then EigenLayer is 20. But does it ever work? If someone does like a project that's raises the valuation of a certain category, it's going to get pulled down eventually by this logic.
I mean, there's certain categories that don't perform very well in terms of like getting the whatever premiums are out there. There seems to be like a huge layer 1 premium. If you're a layer 1, you just get like a different valuation, even if it's the same product, because you're like not considered beholden to like a larger master of like a chain. It was interesting with Jito and Lido. Some people successfully surmised that it just doesn't make sense given the relative market caps for Jito to be bigger than Lido's market share and put on a relevant trade. I think Hal might have spoken about that a little bit. Sometimes the category is kind of weak, like with most of the perp dexes, apart from like DYDX, it's sometimes hard to break out of that $1 billion kind of range. We've seen it on a few small occasions. I think Apex has like gone above that, like to 2-3 billion, although it's quite a low float. So we'll have to see how that plays out. But yeah, sometimes the category can kind of bring things down a bit more.
Yeah, and that's what I was talking about earlier. It's in bull markets, you want to bet on new category leaders with no relative comps, because how do you compare EigenLayer to anything or Celestia to anything? You really can't, right? Maybe you compare it to Ethereum or something, but I mean, like no one actually knows. So, you know, like if it 2x's from here, it's like, yeah, like why not? You know, like that's kind of how people think.
It's like that Jim Carrey thing. It's like maybe Brad can bring it up. He's like, so you're telling me there's a chance?
So you're telling me there's a chance? Yeah!
Like as long as there's nothing to kind of cap it, gets people really excited.
Yeah, I think something I really learned this bull cycle is like if you're the top of your best in class, essentially you get like a really sick premium. Like if some protocol is generating like 1 million of revs, and the one's doing 2, then like 132 is going to be like 4 or 5, 6x the one doing 1. I think this is due to just because like there's just too much money chasing these narratives, and it just like ends up centralizing on the best sort of token in each class, like Celestia or Solana or Jupe for that matter.
It's a power law.
Yeah, power law.
Justin, I think I'm kind of loving this bits and pieces of these online games I'm seeing, these on-chain games. Maybe you can share your pasta and tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, sure. I'll share my pasta, and then I'll talk a little bit about the game I've been playing too after. So we could do a little Degen of the week and pasta of the week just for me, and maybe that'll increase my chances of winning this round again, 2 rounds in a row. So I guess this meme's a little less relevant with Jupiter, but Mike Dudas put out this meme of like Drake, you know, saying no way to a crypto app people might use, but a roll up as a surface with, you know, some shared sequencing liquid restaking platform. Now that's like a token that will do well. And this just really sticks with me because, you know, in our space, like these L1s, to your point, Jordy, they have this premium, but there's still no apps on them that are like really differentiated. We're not really seeing that sort of innovation get built on the app layer where people are coming back to use something on chain every day. And it's just really interesting. Like people are investing and taking the picks and shovels approaches, like the gold miners, you know, we're going to sell them picks and shovels. We're going to sell people this infrastructure, and hopefully, you know, the apps will get built later on. So pretty interesting and hits home.
I mean, it's all about the keywords right now, getting like ticking all the narratives. If you want to get really bullish, I saw this a few days ago. You can go to there's a project called Layer N on Ethereum.
Oh, yeah,
So
yeah.
you go to their website. They have done a master, like it just has like so many keywords and they were positioning in all of them. It makes you really bullish. So people check that out.
I saw that. It's like this new layer 2 using EigenDA with like 100,000 TPS on testnet. You know, this is like the modular thesis, leveraging Ethereum for settlement and EigenDA for data availability. This is a monad competitor. I have no idea, to be honest. You know, like it's like, oh, 10 billion FTV.
It's like no one knows what it does, but it's provocative and it gets the people going.
No one knows what it means, but it's provocative.
No, it's not. It
Gets the people going.
Look at that thing. What is that? It's like I don't even know how to explain this.
It's cool.
It's gonna be interesting. I'm gonna want to keep an eye to see what's gonna happen.
I'll share this game I've been playing because people are sort of interested. I know people really like when we show what we're doing on chain. So this is something I did this week. I'm playing with a few friends. It's sort of like Survivor, but for crypto. So you deposit like 0.1 ETH to get into the round. And then every day there's an immunity challenge to get your tribe. I'm in the orange tribe. You can see in the bottom left, immunity. If you don't get immunity, you have to vote someone out of your tribe. And you can see, you know, there's a ton of different crypto users. Everyone links their Twitter, so you sort of see who's in it. There's some notable people in it. That's cool. But
how does the tribe win the immunity? Like, how do you get it for the whole tribe?
Yeah, so you can see here, I actually played this at the start of the show. I don't think we recorded it, but there was a Pac-Man challenge, and basically the tribe with the highest score collectively on Pac-Man, it's like say 20 or so people in a tribe, they get immunity for the day and don't have to vote anyone else. Everyone else, they have to go to the voting polls, and presumably like the people that perform worst in these challenges get voted out. So I was on the show with you guys. I performed pretty bad. I'm ranked like almost dead last or in the bottom 5. So I might get voted out, but if not, hopefully I'll stick around and next week I can give an update on how I'm doing. But basically the winner gets the entire pool. So maybe 600 people bought in with 0.1 ETH. The company takes, or the protocol takes a 10% fee, and the rest of the ETH gets sent to the winner. So pretty cool, fun, and it's nice doing something new.
I have to say, I'm very bullish on this category because come from a very like strategy games background. I love this stuff. I think crypto, social, bit of money gambling, it just fits in perfectly. I have seen a few decks for games like this based on Werewolf, based on other stuff. I think it's hard to get the mechanics right, but if I had like unlimited time and I wasn't as busy as I am, I would love to just get some game mechanics and do these kind of game theory, multiplayer tribes, and like you're talking about. I'm already thinking like, do I want to vote the worst player on my team off because that'll make my team better, but then like it makes it more likely that in the future I'll be the one voted off of my team because I'll be the one lower down. So do I actually go for the top guys and get them out of the way? I don't know. It's really fun, and it's hard to get these things right, but it's interesting.
It's social too, because you see these crypto personalities, Jesse Pollock, the founder of Base, and then Jason Rosenthal, who's at A16Z, and you can see like my team, the orange team, we were deciding who to vote for between these two. And Jesse's like, well, don't pick me, vote this other guy. So it's just fun and it's social, and I agree. I'm bullish on these things, Jordy.
Becomes a bit of a popularity contest. I think we like Base, so we like the Base maybe a bit more, but that's awesome. I'm curious to see how it goes, and more games like this, please. And hopefully, when I ever take a vacation, I'll be able to play as well. Taiki, what do you got?
Yeah, so I mean, I kind of blew my load earlier, but I'm just perpetually stuck in this mid curve. I'm tears coming out of my eyes. I want to be in the left curve, but I'm really trying. Like I bearish to Solana. I'm into this NFT. I'm like trying out these non-EVM chains and trying to not be stuck in Maker, but I'm still stuck in the mid curve. This is my question.
What is like the alien right curve gigabrain Taiki like? What is he buying? What is he into? Can you tell? Like, if you imagine transpose yourself into that state, like instead of Maker and Kanto, what are you into?
I think okay, so this is what I'm trying. I'm really trying to bet big on the modular narrative. So that's going to be like Celestia, Dimension, EigenLayer. I'm not sure about AltLayer, to be honest. I don't really see how value accrues to AltLayer, but because there's no other pure ways to bet on an Eigen, I have this working thesis where maybe the Dimension to Celestia ratio is going to be similar to like the AltLayer Eigen ratio, and that might be like how these tokens end up trading.
I mean, we're saying there's no way, but aren't these like points trading on whales markets and some of this stuff? You can just sort of bet on the point value.
Yeah, I mean, alt's like trading at 3.5 right now. Yeah, 3.5 bill. Dimensions at like 4. So, yeah, I mean, I think they're gonna both trade in tandem. But I'm trying to focus more on like Neurocoins because Neurocoin's good. And I think because no one really knows how to value these things, I think there's more edge to be had. So I'm just like spending all my time right now, like focused on trying to understand like the modular narrative and which coins will end up like becoming big winners.
Well, I think Taiki, normally you would have a winner on your hands, but because you kind of blew it a bit early, we enjoyed it earlier in the show. I don't know, Thicky. Like,
we have to vote, right? We have to vote. I like Thicky's one. I like the virtuous cycle.
It pains me, but I think like for me, Justin, maybe again.
With the double entry.
Double entry.
Yeah, he did do a double entry, yeah. That's a good point. He went above and beyond.
Thicky, you're the tiebreaker.
Between myself and Justin? Well, I'm sorry, Justin, but I'm going to win this week.
Okay, so Justin has voted for himself, so this is the first tie. We have a tie. Justin and Thicky each self voting, and me and Taiki reluctantly.
Well, if it's a tie, then I think Justin wins because he did a double entry.
Wait. We gotta get the comments.
No, that's the opposite.
Should be penalized.
Oh, right.
Comment below. Comment below what you guys think.
Okay, comment below. We'll look at the comments and we'll choose the winner based on that, and we'll announce it next week. Thanks everybody for joining. Hope you had fun this one, and we'll see you next week.